Hello, it's Mark here at Rosebud Records in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and I'm here to talk about receivers. What is a receiver? How do you use it? This is important for people getting into listening to vintage hi-fi. If you're already an audiophile or already experiencing this might not be for you. This is for people who are scratching their head going, how do I listen to my record on something better than my Crosley record player? So you go out and you get yourself a record player and then you don't know what to do with it. One of the answers is a receiver. Here I have an example of one. So we got an FM tuner, which you probably will never use, a preamp, a power amp, all built into one. On the back we have inputs and outputs. The inputs are for, or here they're marked, the inputs are marked auxiliary, tape, and phono. Auxiliary is, just in tape and CD. They're all the same level. We call it line level. Phono is a particular challenge. And so if you love records, this is what the information you're looking for. Even though you plug your record player into the wall, it just runs the motor. There's no preamp in most record players. I'll just say that, or the vintage record players. Traditionally, they have no preamp built into them. They relied on an external preamp, and then later, the receiver was built, and that kind of solved that problem, so there was no need to put a preamp inside the turntable. Phono preamps are very different from the preamps that CDs and auxiliaries and tapes all need. So it's a very specific input, and if you want to use a receiver, you got to make sure it has a phono input, or you have to use an external phono preamp. Why do I say this? Because once in a while someone's like, yeah, I plugged in my record player and it doesn't sound good. What are you plugging it into? It's like, well, I'm just plugging it into my, whatever, powered speaker, or, but you need something between the record player and the thing to make it sound right. Now, having said that, somewhere probably in the 90s, I'm not exactly sure when, they finally said, all right, we'll put a preamp in some record players. And they do that. So some record players come with a preamp in them. But you got to check for that. And they usually cost more money. So sometimes people are like, do I want the $200 one or the $300 one? I think I'll take the $200 one. And it doesn't have the preamp. So keep an eye out for that. So receivers are a handy way because there's a preamp, a power amp, and different kinds of preamps. And speaker outputs for passive speakers, meaning there's a power amp built in and you can power speakers that don't plug into the wall. If you have active speakers, you can also go out the tape output, or sometimes there's a preamp output, and then you can run your passive speakers with that. That's cool too. Very handy thing to have. Like I said, this was a realistic one. It's kind of okay. There's a lot of great receivers out there. A lot of people are switching over to these kind of Sonos systems and stuff like that. When they come in here and listen to a really good stereo, or they get around a really good stereo, sometimes people go like, oh yeah, I thought the Sonos sounded good, but this sounds really good. And that's the reason that, I'm into vintage stereos and records, is to get that last 10 or 20% of yummy, buttery sound. So that's just a brief primer on what a receiver does. I'm going to make a few of these others, a few other videos for other technical things that often younger people or people who are just getting into hi-fi might be lacking in. So check out the other videos here on YouTube, like and subscribe and all that stuff, and we'll talk to you soon.